Thanks for joining me. I don't have a lot of notes tonight, so hopefully this will come out succinctly and I'll get my thoughts that I've been stewing over today. So yesterday was the day where, I'm not sure when you're watching this video, but the day when the person went into the Nashville Christian school and shot up the place, killed three children and three adults, I believe. Um, it's not really was the going to be the point of this video, but I had the thought that I was going to do this video, and that was before I realized that the person who did that was transgender. And that fit very well into this whole thought that I'm dealing with, this whole, what the whole confusion that we have going on in society and what it means. Okay, so in order to do that, I wanted to show this video as a jumping off point. This is Jason Whitlock. This is Fearless, his show, and very interestingly enough, this was the show he did last night, pre-recorded, but I'm sure before he ever heard about the Nashville shooting. And actually, I think he's in Nashville, and he was talking about. Well, let's watch it, and we'll see what he's talking about, and you'll see why it makes sense to what I'm gonna discuss.
ESPN honoring Ivy League swimmer William Thomas as part of Women's History Month makes perfect sense when you realize he's a Dixney chick. ESPN's parent company, the Walt Disney Company, is the worldwide leader in transitioning America into a gender fluid, mental illness affirming society. 8 years ago, ESPN crowned its inaugural Dixney chick, awarding Bruce Jenner the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPYs. Bruce earned the recognition when he changed his name to Caitlyn and started wearing dresses in public. William Thomas changed his name to Leah and started swimming against women. In 2022, he won an NCAA title in the women's 500-meter freestyle. Like Jenner, Thomas retained his bat and balls, qualifying him for Disney's most protected status, Dixney chick. On Sunday, ESPN lauded Leah Thomas as a great moment in women's history, airing a package celebrating his dominance of Ivy League women's swimming. Take a look for yourself.
In 2022, swimmer Leah Thomas became the first transgender athlete to win an NCAA Division I championship by winning the 500 freestyle. The Texas native competed for 3 seasons on the men's swim team at the University of Pennsylvania. She began her transition after her sophomore season and after a gap year due to the pandemic that forced the Ivy League to cancel all sports. Thomas made her debut as a member of the women's team in December 2021.
Being trans is not a choice. I didn't have any other choice because not transitioning was not leading me anywhere.
She competed amidst criticism from the swimming community, competitors, and teammates. She said she hopes her persistence serves a larger purpose.
People will say, oh, she just transitioned, so she would have an advantage, so she could win. I transitioned to be happy.
All right, I think that is enough right there. He goes on to talk about his main thrust here is in regards to ESPN and how they're one of the things that they really focused on was when a black volleyball, I think it was volleyball player with Duke, claimed that someone or multiple people were yelling the N-word at her at a BYU away game. So Duke was at BYU. ESPN ran with that story, even though most people kind of thought, they kind of looked at that side-eyed. I mean, anybody who is a racist typically nowadays isn't going to be so, they're not going to run around doing it that way, it doesn't, it looked more like and turned out to be exactly what most people, I think, thought it was, which is another in a long line of racial hoax, like Jesse Smollett and what Bubba Wallace. Maybe his was a misunderstanding, but it's just this idea of racial sensitivity. ESPN ran with that, and he's saying, okay, you're going to defend this one woman, you're going to do whatever you can to just assume she's right no matter what, even though the story didn't sound right. And here are all these women who are dealing with this situation, and they got a man in the pool, and he's now winning all these events, which is moving all these women, beating all these women. And that was his point. I want to use that because what we're experiencing in our society, it's just a microcosm. It's interesting how sports has become that, where you can sort of cleanly see, maybe this is just me, I don't know, I see it in sports where it's less political. Obviously the politics is there, but it's clearly there. It's not, and I think that's what makes it so clear is it's not supposed to be there, and it's the awkwardness, it's the illogical nature of it. They're literally, for the longest time they were talking about Title IX. They want you to watch the WNBA, all this thrust for women. And yet here are men, and he alluded to that in that story, which is to say that, Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner got Woman of the Year, when I don't think Caitlyn was a woman for a year. So, and it's this idea of what is a woman? I mean, we're so, what does it mean? Like, what does all this mean is really what I'm getting to. Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, people, people are diverse. People have all kinds of different ways that they express themselves. And I think as a nation, I think we're pretty tolerant. Like, I don't care that much about it in truth, but for some reason, when I say the nation, I'm talking about the people. Usually when I say nation, I mean the people. But the pop culture, the worldly system that is over the top of us, cares a lot about this. I mean, they're really invested in this small percentage of people who feel like they're trapped in the wrong body, right? To the point where, they're going to change themselves and change everybody else too. Everything you ever thought you knew about stuff. The bathrooms have to change. They've got to have all this stuff change for them. They have to change, and everybody's got to change with them. And to put a giant exclamation point on this, we see a person who is experiencing this confusion, this frustration, take weapons, go into a Christian elementary school and shoot the place up and kill people. And what's sad is the same industry, the same people, the pop culture, all the talking heads, and you've already seen it. Of course, what are they going to do? Gun control. The guns are the problem. Not the fact that somebody is mentally disturbed. We don't have a gun crisis. We have a mental health crisis in our country. And for some reason, the whole pop culture industry is insistent on protecting this sickness, this dysfunction. And it's weird. Like, why? What is the point? For me, it always goes back to the spiritual. It always goes back to the spiritual, because when you look at what Jason was talking about there, ESPN and Disney, what are they? They are the elite worldly, they're an example, they're part of the elite worldly system that sits over top of us and manipulates us, or attempts to manipulate us. And while they're doing it, they make tons of money. And so you go, okay, it doesn't make sense. Like, well, the reason it doesn't make sense is that because you're looking at it in the terms of just business, like just logic. And of course it's illogical. The reason why is the goal you're missing. The goal is actually confusion and chaos. That is the goal. So when you see illogical, that's the goal. It's to confuse the people, and it dovetails really, really nicely with authoritarian control. So people who are in control want to confuse you. They want to divide, left from white, right, black and white, and man and woman, and straight and gay. They want to divide us all. They want to keep us bickering and pointing at each other. And the whole point is to make a population that doesn't look at them. It doesn't look at the system that's creating division, that's actually sowing discord. You go out and you listen to the people that you know, and you find that they're actually not as crazy as what is displayed on social media. And we know social media rigs the algorithm to show you what it wants to show you. Yes, it's at the mercy of people to some extent, but it's always catering and changing it to where you're seeing what it wants you to see, majoritively speaking. Why? It wants to push certain agendas. The system is set up to where it's trying to manipulate you. It's trying to get reactions out of us. It wants us to become evil. It wants to degrade us. It wants to change us. And it's a spiritual battle. This is why this is what is interesting about the Nashville shooting, because this was a person who went to this school, and they went after it's a Christian school. Why a Christian school? Why was it targeted? That's the answer. Here's your sign. The Christian school's targeted because Christianity is the logic, right? Illogic is the name of the game. Confusion is the name of the game. Disorder is the name of the game. And so Christianity is logic, it's order, it's the system of understanding, it's the system of morality. It best exemplifies it for humanity. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Like, this is the point I'm making. And I think, logically speaking, you can see this because you see how the other side doesn't make sense. So why go after a Christian church? If it doesn't make sense, why would this person be focused on at a Christian church or a Christian school? One thing you can say, just to get out of the spirit argument for a minute that I'm attempting to make, is one thing in regards to guns. Where are the people with guns in the schools? How are we protecting our banks, but we don't protect our children? This is something that we have to grapple with as a society. We really don't care as much for our children as we think we do. I mean, let's be real about it. We're okay with people killing their children in abortion mills. We send our kids off to school so we can go make more money at a company and both parents can work. This is the way we've done it. Come on, let's be real. Let's be adults about it. And we're reaping what we're sowing in a great. And so we've pushed kids into a system, and the system doesn't care for them. The same people who say they love the kids, yeah, they love to sexualize the kids, don't they? That's what they're doing. Where do you think this confusion's coming from? Why are the people who have this confusion, why are they discovering it? Oh, they're discovering it when they're young. What's going on with them? I would say that they're having some in a they're vulnerable. Kids are vulnerable. They're put in a situation in group settings, and what we're experiencing, I would say, is sort of like mass hysteria, and it spreads at a point in time where people don't have the proper influences that they need, and they have society continuing. Think about what Jason said. It was Disney. Disney's pushing this. They've been pushing this for a long time, sowing the seeds of destroying the standard family. Here's how they're doing it. They're destroying men and women and the roles and what we think of them. This is obviously what's going on, because if you think about Disney movies, think about all the recent movies, all of the guy characters are usually the bad guys or the idiots. Just think, all the heroes are the girls. And there's nothing wrong with girl heroes, by the way. It's just the idea that it can't always be that way. You can't always have, and why is it that way? Like, what's the agenda with that? Why can't there be more good role models for young boys to look up in Disney characters, right? People, and it's the idea of focusing on genitals so much. In everything's about genitals. It's about how you think about your genitals, what you think about other people's genitals. Like, why is this a school thing? It doesn't even make sense. They should be in their list. They should be in there to read and write. They can't even. We're not even doing the basics in school. And yet this is what we've got going on. And it gets to this concept of it's a clash of worldview. It's the pop culture is pushing the worldly view against the biblical view. We had that sort of, majoritively speaking, in the past. And in an attempt to destroy that, you see all this, what we see with the transgender stuff is a canary in the coal mine. This is our sign to what is actually going on here, which is a spiritual battle that's taking place, a clash of worldviews. And I'll tell you, this is started a long time ago, this concept of toxic masculinity, right? Think about the Bible. Most people, if you think about the Bible, think about how women were treated in the Bible. And I bet most people have a negative view of that. They think that women are treated badly in the Bible. Think, oh, Paul told them to cover their head. You think about how back in the day it was a patriarchal system and the Bible supported it. And the Bible was promoting this patriarchal system where guys would lord their rulership of the house over their wives and their daughters. They would sell their wives practically into marriage. Did all that happen? Sure. To that extent? No, that's hyperbole. That isn't how people operate as a rule. Okay? Most households operate then as now, where the guy basically kind of deals with the world and the mom runs the house. Everybody knows this is how this works. You even see this exemplified in sitcoms. It's true for the most part. It's true in my house to a great extent. My wife basically runs a lot of the stuff. I got no problem with that. She's better at it than I am. She sends me out in the yard to do stuff because that's where I belong. That's what I do better, right? I mean, it's just roles. It's just how we're wired. It's how we do. And they're attempting to destroy the whole thing. The whole point is they're saying don't trust the Bible, and I'm here to defend the Bible. I will defend the patriarchal system because I don't think it ever was wrong. Because in that society, you had a society where there was proper roles set up, and it had to be so. Now, today there is some more flexibility involved, and the enemy has taken advantage of that flexibility. That's kind of the point I'm getting at. But in the Bible days, you didn't have that ability to do that. Why? Because it was an agrarian society. People had to deal with they were all farmers. They they had to not just work the land, they had to defend the land. From who? From men. You think a woman's going to do that? They can, yes, but not as good as a man. A woman takes over her father's property. You think she's not a target for all the surrounding farmland, all the surrounding farmers? That's why women were treated that way. It wasn't a negative. Was it abused by rotten men? Absolutely it was. Was it done correctly by decent guys? Absolutely it was. Which is to say, they cared for their daughters. They wanted to make sure their daughters were protected. They wanted to make sure they went to somebody who would care for them. Meanwhile, we see in our society today, how are women treated today? You think it's that great? It isn't that great. We overly sexualize them. What do you want your daughter to grow up and be on OnlyFans? You know what? What's the ideal? Go work in a cubicle somewhere, be sexually harassed by their boss, get on birth control, never find a man, sleep around. It's okay. There's the pill. There's abortion. This is great. This is the utopian society that the world is offering up. And now this is the slippery slope, right? And now we're to the point where once you destroy the patriarchy, and it's not the patriarchy, it doesn't even matter about the patriarchy. It's about family. It's humanity. Once you start attacking the foundation of what it means to be human, because you're only born one way or the other, guys. I mean, come on. And these are the people that claim to be the naturalists, right? Oh, I'm not spiritual. I believe in evolution and well, there's only two types of monkeys, male and female. You know, it's this idea that at a certain point, everything that they claim always breaks down logically. It's because they don't have to. That's the other thing. This goes back to this idea about postmodernism. And that's just I hate even the term because it sounds so sterile, but it's really insidious and disgusting. Because really what it is relativism that allows people to accept the political class to be able to change all the rules and make all the definitions. So they can change whatever you thought you knew. And they'll just change it tomorrow at a whim. That's in their control now. So you thought you knew what a man was? No. See that person over there with a penis and an Adam's apple and a 5 o'clock shadow? That's a beautiful woman over there. And there ain't a thing you can say. And in fact, if you disagree, you're hateful. And that's where we've gone. That's where we've gone. And it's happened really fast. It's happened really fast. The slippery slope is the gay marriage stuff. I'm not being negative toward gay people, but this is the slippery slope. This is what the enemy has wanted. That the point of the spear, to destroy the family, to destroy the nuclear family. It doesn't take a family, it takes a village. That's what they've been telling you. And you see how it all kind of goes together. And then you see these little glimmers, and I don't mean glimmer in a good way, more like fires that erupt. Sparks. There's sparks everywhere, and a fire erupts, and you see a trans person shoot up a school. Meanwhile, ESPN is glorifying a man defeating women in physical contests like the man is brave and beautiful. I mean, I just ask, as a sane, I think I'm a sane person. I ask, which side of this are you on? At some point, you have to choose a side. You can't go along with this. It doesn't matter what you've thought before. Maybe you thought, oh, we're, tolerance and, we got to care for people, and all that's true. But it doesn't mean you overturn the system. It doesn't mean, what are you replacing it with? That's the thing. It isn't good enough to just point at the existing system and point out all its flaws. I can do that too. you have to explain what you're going to replace it with. And you notice they don't ever really show you that. They just say it's more caring. They're the ones that care for the children. All their policies are for the children. By the way, they're sexualizing your children. Right? Everything's the opposite. Okay? That beautiful woman is a man. Okay? Not a beautiful woman. So we can see it now. And yet it doesn't. And yet people are still going along with it. And we're all confused. And then again, flames, bonfires just pop up where someone does something crazy. A trans person shot up people in a church. It wasn't the guns. There's a sickness. Wokeness is a sickness. I'm sorry. I have to say it. Wokeness is mental disorder. It just really is. If you can't see that, I mean, they literally, because inside they have this thing where they look at themselves and they see this person saw a boy and said, no, I'm female, and demanded that everybody acquiesce to that desire in every single way, in pronouns, in changing the architecture of buildings, in every societal situation this person goes in, everybody must now bow to this change that's been discovered only internally. Nobody else can see it yet. We all have to bow to it now. And you best do it or you'll reap the reward for that. And this person who did that is just doing it very clearly what all of our society is pushing for right now. Not all society, but the pop culture. Disney and all of these media companies, news companies, pushing this agenda. You accept it, you accept the new norm, or they'll be held to pay for it.